Okay, we know that you might be sick of hearing about spooky good deals this Halloween weekend, but we've chosen this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to bring back one of our most popular specials. The WagerTalk Fill Your Cart is back. This Friday, October 29th, Saturday, October 30th, and Sunday, October 31st, you will get a 31% discount on everything you fit into your cart. Whether it's a daily package, a one-day all access, a 3, 7, or 30 package, a full season of college hoops, or a full 12 months from your favorite handicapper, you will save 31% with coupon Halloween31. You can fill your goodie bag as many times as you want until the clock strikes midnight on Sunday. Finish off October with this ghostly good deal and fill your cart wisely.
Friday, not Friday the 13th. It's Friday, October 29th, and I'm not the Prez. That would have been a lot more scary. I went with the Halloween mask instead. I'm Steve Merrill, hosting for the Prez once again. That's Teddy Covers. Spook Teddy. I didn't mean to scare you there, but we got such a great promo. I had to do something. It's Halloween 31, folks. 31% off everything starting right now on Friday, Saturday through Sunday, Halloween Sunday. You get 31% off anything you put on your cart, unlimited usage, unlimited cappers at WagerTalk.com. Halloween 31. I am Steve Merrill. That's Teddy Covers once again. We have got a great show here on Fridays. We head into the weekend. We've got Rob Veno on deck. He always makes me proud. We're going to look at 3 college football games: Purdue, Nebraska, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and SMU, Houston. Also got a big game breakdown, World Series Game 3 from Teddy Covers. And then Andy Lang, the prop master, is going to give us some player props, 3 player props to close out the show as we head into the weekend. But before we do so, Teddy, what did you learn last night? One of the biggest Thursday night NFL games in recent memory, and went down to the wire. Really a remarkable ending there. And I'm sure we all learned a little something, but I'll throw it to you first to find out what you learned on Thursday night.
Sure. Well, we learned that close doesn't count last night. You know, obviously it's brutal for Cards money line bettors last night. But let's not forget, you know, everyone remembers the final sequence of that game, but let's not forget that the Packers, too, had an almost touchdown and got stuffed at like the 1 foot line. Coulda, woulda, shoulda been up 10, and the game would have been over at that point, literally and metaphorically, because obviously with neither team punching in the touchdown at the end of the game, unders cash. So real rough for total bettors, real rough for Cards money line bettors. But look, football's a game of inches. Getting the ball down to the 1 yard line is not good enough. You got to put the biscuit in the basket. Both teams failed in the final minutes to do that. But when both teams failed, it was the Packers that had the lead. There you have it, Steve. That's what I learned last night. What about you?
Yeah, it was just remarkable. I mean, anybody who has conspiracy theories about the NBA or the NFL is in full throttle. They don't count the touchdown. The Cardinals basically go 90-some yards, and then they throw a terrible pick to end the game. But, yeah, the total obviously was affected by it. You know, the side had gone from 3 to 6, 6.5, as we talked about a few times on the show this week. And I was thinking, wouldn't that be something they tied up and they win by 6 at overtime? The 6.5 was dead at that point, but it was in play. And Aaron Rodgers, once again, big line move because their top 3 receivers are out. Adams, obviously a huge loss, but it just shows once again how important Aaron Rodgers is. Even without his receivers, he still wins straight up. And the Packers, once again, have won and covered every game since that week 1 loss against New Orleans. They've now got, 6-point spread cover? Actually 7. The Cowboys are 6-0. The Packers are 7-1. So they've got the most point spread covers in the league now after losing 38-3 in week 1. And one final thing I'll say, and you know, Rob's been around for a while. You've been around a while, Teddy. We'll bring Rob in, actually. The game has changed so much the last 25 years since I've been doing this. When you're 4th and inches on the goal line and you still go to the shotgun, I just don't get it. I mean, you're taking a half an inch and turning it into a 7-yard gain. And, of course, he ends up throwing an incomplete pass. I just don't get that. Arizona, by the way, they had a shotgun bad snap that almost took them out of field goal range with about 30 seconds to go in that game. You know, Rob, I'll throw it to you. Something's changed in football, obviously, since we all started in the 90s, but I still don't get that 4th and inches on the goal line going to the shotgun formation.
Yeah, I'd agree, Steve. And I'd agree from even a further perspective that when you watch Arizona line up on the goal line, their 2nd down, they had 10 men on the line of scrimmage. Very difficult to run into that. Green Bay couldn't. But on 4th down, they sort of suspected a pass maybe because they only had 8, and it looked like, they play faked actually to Aaron Jones going left, and left looked like the soft spot of the Arizona run defense at that point. I'm thinking hand off, he's home. But no, it was play action and it was batted away. So I agree with you. A guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's got the green light to check out of anything as he looks across the line of scrimmage, just kind of surprised that they went with that play. But, it's on the other end, guys, and I don't say this as something I thought afterwards, but prior to that play, Arizona's right there. It's a tie game, overtime, at worst scenario. All you have to do is be careful with the football. I don't care if you want to blame A.J. Green. I don't care if you want to blame Kyler Murray. But you can't throw a pass, a bullet pass like that, when all you see is the back of your receiver's jersey. You don't take those chances on the goal line. Either he's wide open and you hit him, or you throw it away and play to overtime. These guys take chances, unnecessary chances, and it cost Arizona last night.
So, I had the Packers in my pocket last night. And the last thing I wanted, I should say that, but when you have plus 6.5, you weren't sweating it quite the same way as
right.
plus 6, as some have. But if you got Green Bay and Arizona scores that touchdown, and then the Packers have one play with no time left on the clock, and they're throwing the football around, and Arizona picks it up and runs to the end zone, I didn't feel comfortable with my Packers ticket until that INT. All right. But, Rob, we always talk about the process as opposed to the result. You want to focus on the process as opposed to the actual result. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that final throw. What was wrong was A.J. Green didn't know it was coming and didn't turn around. But, you got a guy open for a second in the end zone, you whip it over to him. That's what you do. Arizona's supposed to win that game right there. And instead, they ended up losing, which was fine for me. Hopefully for most of you out there as well.
Yeah, and Teddy.
Was he open, Teddy?
Well, I was going to say, do they still kick the extra point? Didn't we see that in that was it the Saints-Bears playoff game like last year? There was a weird scenario where I think that rule has maybe changed with there's no time. I'm not sure they would kick it anymore. I'm not certain on that. Maybe some of the viewers can chime in. But, yeah, that's a
If it comes on the last play of the game, they don't need to kick it anymore.
Right, so they'd run it back with no time. It would have still been 6, right?
Correct. If it was on the very last play, yes. There was still, like 12 or 14. Just enough time for the Packers to throw it around and throw one of those fumbles that gets picked up and returned.
We've seen it happen.
We haven't had one of those all year in the NFL. And maybe I'm a little paranoid because it's been a rough couple of weeks in the National Football League. But even leading, I'm sweating. I'm like, oh, they're going to score the touchdown and then they're going to throw it around and I'm going to lose on something stupid. I don't want that. I wanted a sweep last night. We got it. So all good.
No, once again, when you've been doing this since the 90s, like all three of us, you can recall a lot of scenarios that could potentially happen over 20, 25 years. And the Bad Beat segment on another network that you see every week, that Ohio State Northwestern game, they had that little clip all the time. I was on Northwestern in that game 15 years ago, and I still remember that. It's probably the worst thing I've ever seen happen. They're covering, and they have the ball for the final play of the game.
Bowl.
The Belk Bowl is awful. I don't think I was involved, though, so it wasn't as bad for me. That was Duke, correct? It was Duke. Who else was in that? Duke and
Cincinnati. Cutcliffe. Duke with the ball at the goal line in a tie game plus 9.5 with 2 minutes.
That was pretty brutal. And it was a bowl game, obviously, so it was a huge bet game. It was a standalone bowl game. It was an afternoon game, I believe. But like you said, you see this long enough, you know what can happen. It ain't over till it's over, which is one of Yogi's greatest quotes. It's deja vu all over again is another great quote. And we're going to talk college football with Rob Veno because he loves college football. He's on college football quite often here at 3 o'clock Eastern. I'll actually be on today at 3 Eastern here on WagerTalk TV. And then, of course, Rob's on the NBA show quite often as I'm at 4 p.m. Eastern today on WagerTalk TV. So college football, NBA coming up. But we're going to look at a lot of college football now, Rob. And I'm going to throw it to you first. Purdue at Nebraska. We've talked about Nebraska a few weeks ago. You used them here on the Friday show. I had them as a best bet that Saturday against Northwestern. You mentioned that you should be scolded for playing Nebraska. They're so bipolar. But you and I both liked them a couple weeks ago. They came out swinging. They have been an up-and-down team this year. Do you trust them this week at home laying over a touchdown against Purdue?
I think I'm going to, Steve. And it takes a certain amount of intestinal fortitude to go ahead and play Nebraska because they find ways, right? They find ways to screw up good things. That really hasn't changed. Penalties, turnovers, whatever. But when they're not doing that, they're a good football team, as evidenced by that 56-7 win you just alluded to against Northwestern. But I would say, plain and simple, guys, to me, when I looked at this game, it starts and ends with Purdue's inability and basically unwillingness to run the football. 78 rushing yards per game. Play calling is 41.5% to the run, 58.5% to the pass. It's a pass-oriented team. They've got the receivers. They've got a pretty good quarterback in Aiden O'Connell when he's not throwing it to the other team. So when you look at Nebraska, what they've shown the last couple of weeks is a vulnerability to the run. And this is prior to the bye. They are off a bye week here. They allowed 29 points to Michigan, but it's because Michigan could run the football. They ran for 204. That led to 255 passing, a real good offensive output. They lose the game 32-29 in classic Nebraska fashion. Last game before the bye, they give up 30 points to Minnesota. Again, because they couldn't really defend the run. 182 rushing yards led to 21 of 25 out of Tanner Morgan. We haven't seen that this year. 214 passing yards, 84% completion, give up 30 points. But Purdue won't run it. It's going to be all passing all the time. And Nebraska's got a really good pass defense. They can defend that. So I think they're in good shape there defensively against this Purdue offense. Another thing I'd say right here is, Purdue looks to me like this could be a real situational play on Nebraska as well as fundamental, because Purdue may be worn out. Last 2 weeks, they've had to play Iowa and Wisconsin, two very physical divisional foes, and 2 games with a lot of emphasis placed on them because of the way Purdue came into Iowa record-wise. Last week in the second half, Wisconsin wins that second half 17-0. Purdue showed some signs of wear and tear physically. Wisconsin ran 59 plays. 51 of them were running plays. They ran for 290 yards and 5.7 a carry. Nebraska can do that as well. And unlike Wisconsin, you can incorporate Adrian Martinez into that running game. For Purdue, they haven't really seen a dual threat quarterback on the season. Nebraska offensively pretty balanced right now. Again, Martinez is a home run hitter, but he will make mistakes. I think the mistakes might be few and far between here. The Purdue asset on defense is the pass rush, and that probably gets negated a little bit here with Martinez's mobility. So I'm going to take my chances here, guys. Nebraska off the bye, Purdue in their 3rd straight really physical football game. I'll lay the 7.5 with Nebraska.
So when we look at the Huskers season, Rob, they've lost every close game and they've won every blowout. All 5 losses have come by a single score, and all 3 wins have come by 25 points or more, all against lesser competition. Is this one of those spots where Purdue could really get blown out in this game? Is this blowout city for Nebraska, or are the Cornhuskers capable of winning a game where they're only leading by 10 or 14 points as opposed to 3 or 4 scores?
Well, we haven't seen it yet, right, Teddy? As you just mentioned, we haven't seen that style of victory yet. And I don't know that laying 7.5, I want to be involved in that kind of game with Nebraska. I want it to be 35-7 in the 4th. And it's very possible that it could, because Purdue's basically going to be reduced to throwing the football all game long. Nebraska's going to pin their ears back and go get them. The games you talked about that were blowouts were all teams that either couldn't run the football or teams that like to run the football that Nebraska could overwhelm. The reference there is to Buffalo. The other 2 games I think they had blowouts against were Fordham and Northwestern. Northwestern is not a very good running football team. So Purdue fits right into that class. Again, I'd like to look at styles and matchups here, and I just think this style fits Nebraska hand in glove. And when you toss in the situational aspect, Purdue's not an especially deep team with their 3 defensive coordinators. They've been good. They've been a good story all season long, but this is that part of the season where, boy, if you don't have quality depth, and you get worn a little bit, it starts to show. So hopefully it shows here.
Yeah, Nebraska also has been kind of a bully. You look at their games this year, and Robin, when they've been favored by 7.5 or more, it's been 3 times they've been a double-digit favorite. They're 3-0 straight up in ATS in those games. They're 0-5 straight up in all other games. And, of course, that week 0 game was kind of around 6.5 or so, if I recall, against Illinois. And, of course, I don't acknowledge week 0. It's basically the preseason still. So Rob likes Nebraska minus 7.5, open 6.5, 7.5. My power range make it 11. So I'm with you on this one, Rob. with Nebraska. By the way, Rob will be on the college football show at 3 o'clock Eastern with me this afternoon. We'll be looking at 4 games this afternoon in college football. One of them I actually touched on in my college top 25 video, Auburn and Ole Miss. I'm anxious to see your thoughts on that as well on the show today, Rob. Of course, that video is posted right now. The 3 biggest college football games I preview with my top 25 video right here on WagerTalk TV. And we'll be on at 3 o'clock Eastern today, college football today, with more info. Let's look at another game with you, Rob, though. We're going to look at Texas Tech and Oklahoma. Sooners definitely control their own destiny, 8-0 straight up right now. Very manageable schedule. They do have a fairly big game on deck after their bye next week. They go to Baylor, then they get Iowa State, and then they get Oklahoma State. So 3 tough opponents coming up. Do they overlook Texas Tech in this one? What's the best way to play it? I actually think you like a first half totals play in this one.
I do. I like the first half of this game over the number, guys. It's 34.5. But let's start with the Texas Tech coaching situation, right? Matt Wells out. Was a darling at Utah State no less than 3 years ago when Jordan Love was there. And in fact, his offensive coordinator, David Yost, at that point in time was ticketed as one of the young offensive minds. David Yost went first. He got fired prior to the season. And now Matt Wells is gone. And Sonny Cumbie steps in. Texas roots, air raid roots. This could be, I've seen a lot of names tossed around for the Texas Tech job, but to me, this could be an audition for Sonny Cumbie this last 4 games of the season. So he's the play caller. And I just think that when you've got everything to gain and nothing to lose, Sonny Cumbie may be all out here with this air raid. Matt Wells tried to turn it into like a 50-50 play calling proposition. Let's learn to run it at Texas Tech. Worked a little bit, hasn't worked overall. I don't know that Sonny Cumbie will go that route. Let's get on to the game, though, real quick here. The Texas Tech defense against the run, against teams, and I'll put it this way, against teams with balanced offenses inside the conference. They were destroyed in both of those games, TCU and Texas. For anybody who had the Texas over like I did, 42-14 at halftime. For anybody who had the Texas Tech TCU over, 35-10 at halftime. Both of those teams ran the ball incredibly well. TCU, 394 rushing yards, 8.4 a carry. Texas, 336 on the ground, 6.5 a carry. And again, the first half is what's important here. Those totals at halftime were 45 and 56. Here we're looking at 34.5. Oklahoma had an extremely slow start to that game last week against Kansas. The first half, they weren't there, and Kansas had the lead. And then Oklahoma showed up in the second half, scored 5 touchdowns on 6 drives, and won that game going away. Didn't get the cover, but won it going away. I think they come out quickly here. Coaches love that type of stuff during the week. They can coach it. Let's get out of the gate quickly here. Let's not fool around like we did last week against Kansas. But their defense in the secondary, guys, is still as suspect as any in the country for a good team. I mean, last week against Kansas completed 74% of their passes. Kansas, for goodness sakes, 246 passing yards. Oklahoma, 34 points per game, 485.7 total yards per game, 326 through the air. That's where Texas Tech will hit you through the air. So I think you get points on both sides here. The Texas Tech run defense being so poor, I alluded to, because since Caleb Williams took over, we've seen massive rushing efforts out of the Oklahoma Sooners because he's incorporated in it now. I think they get theirs with their balance. I think Tech gets theirs through the air. I think Oklahoma comes to play early, which in their case usually means offense. Those defensive secondary injuries that they suffered, none of those guys are on their way back. I mean, it's the patchwork secondary once again for Oklahoma. So I think, if you're looking at 28-10, 28-13 halftime, which to me is very viable, it could be worse than that. I think this is a pretty easy number. I didn't want to let it get to 35, so I played it over 34.5, and that's the way we'll go here. First half over, 34.5.
So, Rob, over the summer, I heard a bunch of people talking about both of these defenses as potentially being among the most improved defenses in the country. The Texas Tech defense was supposed to be way better. Oklahoma's defense was supposed to be way better. And that hasn't come to fruition. What did we get wrong over the summer when we're looking at these?
And, in the Texas Tech case, Teddy, they tricked us until the Texas game, right? If you go through the schedule, when they entered the Texas game, people still thought they had a good defense.
I remember.
A higher
bet 'em.
percentage. And they just, Bijan Robinson and case closed and play action off of that. So I guess they were, it's hard to trust Texas Tech defensively ever. They don't really recruit it. Matt Wells tried a different approach. I think that's what we saw. I alluded to the offensive side, but the defensive side, he tried to make some changes too. They just didn't work. In Lubbock, I guess they are what they are, Teddy. We know now exactly what they are, right? We got it wrong maybe in the summertime. Oklahoma, I don't think they expected to have the secondary injuries that they've had. I can almost grant them somewhat of a pass because they suffered some really important defensive backfield injuries. And those guys haven't played for 5-6 games now. So for them, it's been a little tougher plugging in inexperienced guys.
He's Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com, college football expert, to say the least, and he'll be on it once again, 3 o'clock Eastern Day of College Football Today, along with myself, Joe Ranieri, and Dave Koken, breaking down 4 more games. One of them, Rob, actually is this next game, SMU-Houston, so I get a little sneak peek here on the show with you. Competitive price, Houston, a slight favorite right now. How are you playing this one, SMU at Houston?
Going to take SMU, guys, in what is a very competitive game, but I think I find an edge in Houston's opposition. Let me start by saying this. Neither team has played a really good schedule. I cashed an SMU season over-under win ticket already, over 6 wins. They're 7-0. A lot of that play was predicated upon the early season schedule for this team. I thought they might get to this point. They have. But here's the difference that I see here. Houston has yet to face any type of balanced offense. Team that can run it and can throw it. SMU happens to be number 5 in the nation in total offense. The best offense they've played outside of SMU is Tulsa, with some pretty good numbers. But I would be pretty willing to say that Tulsa doesn't compare to what SMU can do. And the difference in SMU, one more time, is Ulysses Bentley, that running game that they have, takes a lot of pressure off. Nobody won the transfer portal like SMU won the transfer portal, I don't think. Tanner Mordecai's been a godsend for this team at quarterback. Grant Calcaterra at tight end, been an additional weapon to go with all the wide receiving weapons. Houston's strength on defense. And when you look at their numbers, it's a different Houston team, right? This isn't the Dana Holgerson we're used to. The offense doesn't average 400 a game. The defense is the anchor. Their strength is their quarterback pressure. 28 sacks on the season. I don't know if that leads the nation, but it's pretty close. I didn't really look that up, but if it doesn't, it's really, really close. The counter to that, though, is SMU, as much as they throw the ball 272 times this year, they've only been sacked twice. So you got a team that loves to sack the quarterback to put the other team in bad down and distance, and a team that doesn't get sacked because they get rid of the ball quickly because they have the run game to offset it, to keep you honest. I think advantage SMU in that case. Houston, the non-explosiveness bothers me, guys. Only 8 touchdowns outside the red zone in 7 games. That's not Houston. Clayton Tune returned at quarterback here, just hasn't panned out. SMU has 20 of those, by the way. Houston has 8. SMU has 20 outside the red zone. The Houston offense, against the lousy schedule that they played, 3.6 yards of rush. I know SMU's defense isn't good, but it's good enough to do the same. Houston hasn't done anything against anybody offensively so far this year. In the end, I think that negating of the pass rush helps SMU move the ball. I trust SMU to move the football way more than I trust Houston. And I'll say this. They both played a Big 12 opponent. SMU beat TCU 42-34. Houston did nothing against Texas Tech. We just talked about how fraudulent Texas Tech's defense turned out to be. Houston couldn't do anything against them. Lose that game 38-21. So I'll take, in this pick'em price game, I'll take SMU.
He's Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com, and once again, 3 college football plays on the show here today. Nebraska minus 7.5, Texas Tech, Oklahoma over 34.5 in the first half, and he likes SMU in that pick'em spot at Houston, and we will be talking more in depth on that game, myself and Dave Koken, with Rob Veno at 3 o'clock Eastern today on College Football Today. And if you want some NBA, we're not touching NBA on the show today, but we've got a huge NBA show at 4 o'clock Eastern, and Rob and myself will be on there with Kevin Dolan and Joe Ranieri. Rob is the number 1 return on investment capper, over 240% the last 2 years in the NBA at WagerTalk.com. Hey, Rob, it's a spooky good deal. Halloween 31. what can people get at WagerTalk.com this weekend? And when they get it, anybody, me, Teddy, Rob, anybody, make sure you use promo code Halloween31 when you check out, because you get an instant 31% discount, whether it's a single game, a 1 month, a full season, instant savings with Halloween31. Rob, what do you have this weekend?
Yeah, the signature play up there right now, guys, is a 5% NFL blue chip. Had a couple of games that I played really hard earlier this week and had a choice actually of which one to use as the 5%. That doesn't happen a lot for me, but it's up there right now, up and available, along with the other plays listed as a 4% best bet. You can get both of those plays right now up at WagerTalk.com. College football will go up a little later this afternoon. Steve, it looks like I'm going to see a lot of you this afternoon, so hopefully I can make you proud a couple more times today.
You almost made me proud
that
today, but you got 2 more chances to make me proud. So do it 3 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Eastern here on Wager Talk TV. Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com. He'll be back a couple more times with college football and NBA today. Teddy Covers will be back in 20 seconds with a big game breakdown, to say the least. World Series Game 3, Braves Astros. Excited to hear what you have to say, Teddy, here in 20 seconds.
Okay, we know that you might be sick of hearing about spooky good deals this Halloween weekend, but we've chosen this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to bring back one of our most popular specials. The Wager Talk Fill Your Cart is back. This Friday, October 29th, Saturday, October 30th, and Sunday, October 31st, you will get a 31% discount on everything you fit into your cart. Whether it's a daily package, a 1-day all access, a 3, 7, or 30 package, a full season of college hoops, or a full 12 months from your favorite handicapper, you'll save 31% with coupon Halloween31. You can fill your goodie bag as many times as you want until the clock strikes midnight on Sunday. Finish off October with this ghostly good deal and fill your cart wisely.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk about World Series Game 3 tonight as the series shifts to Atlanta. Right now, looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, let's call it the Braves minus 110. It's a little bit higher in some places, but it's moving towards 115. We'll call it Braves minus 110. Total sitting at 8.5, a little bit of juice to the over. Atlanta, of course, perfect this postseason at home. And Houston's the team I talked about before the series, the team that I think is the better of these two squads, the team I expect to win. From a side standpoint, I'm doing nothing in Game 3. However, I will look to back the loser of Game 3 in Game 4 tomorrow, should the circumstances and the line be appropriate. I think this series is going to be tied 2-2 after 4 games. But the total tonight certainly stands out to me. We saw 8 runs in the first. We saw 9 runs in the second, each one sneaking around the number. But we have 2 lineups that we trust to hit postseason pitching, and 2 lineups that are in decent form. Atlanta certainly, every Brave starter got a hit in Game 1, and the Astros were pretty close to that on their side of the equation in Game 2. It's a scenario where, even though Ian Anderson's been good this postseason, he's not someone I initially trust to shut down Houston. We talk about Luis Garcia, who's had a rough postseason so far, even though he didn't pitch well in their series clinching win against the Red Sox. He's someone that's had his fair share of struggles this postseason, and he's got a sharp home road dichotomy over the course of the year. His ERA, and his whip much higher on the road than it was at home. And of course, when we're talking about as many relievers as are going to get used in games like this one, one guy, 2 guys didn't have their best stuff, and all of a sudden you get some crooked numbers, I should say, on the scoreboard. So put it all together, in this bettor's opinion, 8.5, a little bit too low. I think they get to 9 or more tonight. Look at the over Game 3 of the World Series between the Braves and the Astros. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Yeah, Teddy, the thing that jumped on me in the first 2 games is that you could readily have pushed one loss basically just by line shopping on both totals. There were 8s and 8.5s readily available in Game 1. It lands 8, not a very key number, but 9, of course, a very key number. I put out over 8.5 for my clients in Game 2 by a first pitch. There was a lot of 9 unders out there. Long-term ROI is probably pretty much the same on 8 over, 9 under, but obviously it made a difference in that game as far as the results, 7-2, and it looked like an easy over. Both of them looked like easy overs when the game started, but yeah, it just shows the importance of every half run. And once again, tonight's game is 8.5. Seeing it to the over in some spots, a little bit to the under in some spots. So we'll see where this one settles. First pitch, 8:09 Eastern, Astros-Braves, Game 3, World Series. All right, we're going to bring in the prop master. And you guys know I had my props already with the scary mask. And it actually came with a jersey, which didn't fit me, so I couldn't wear it. But Andy Lang, I'm ready to battle you with your helmet. I've got the scary hockey stick. We didn't talk any NHL hockey, but it went with the mask. But he's officially the prop master. I think I've violated several Wager Talk agreements by bringing so many props on a non-NBA show. But Andy Lang, welcome to the show. You've never looked prettier.
Yeah, I like to accent my best features, just covering everything up.
The Prez does love your eyes. For God's sake, I forgot to mention
Nailed
it. He does, doesn't he, Teddy? The Prez has a man crush on Andy's eyes.
Yep.
So here's I got to ask both you guys before we get started. All right.
Yes, we
like dressing up for Halloween, like as grown-ups. Yes. No.
No, I'm pretty lazy. I'm a lazy
Halloween
human being by nature. I love Halloween, but I rarely dress up just because it takes more than 2-3 minutes of effort. And I actually had to scramble to find this costume, which the kids have never worn. I knew I had a hockey. It was actually like a Kmart out of set. Kmart went bankrupt, like 3 years ago. And all the Halloween costumes were all like 70% off. And we literally have like 30 of them here in the house that we've never worn. So this was one of them. I opened up the package today and made it happen.
Nice.
What about you, Andy? I can see Andy dressing up.
I homemade a shredder helmet. Yes, I like dressing up for Halloween. We go all out.
I love
and
it.
he's keeping it on. It wasn't like a little prop that he just came on the show with. Apparently, he's going to do his analysis in that mask. So knock yourself out.
Halloween comes once a year. Heck yes, it stays on.
Well, Andy, you are the prop master. No, all jokes aside, he really is the prop master. He covers all sports. We, of course, did NASCAR Live in the Fast Lane yesterday. Rocky Atkinson, Andy, and myself. So if you'd like some free NASCAR picks, that's posted right now on Wager Talk TV. This week and next week, our own James Bunning will be in Pit Road this Sunday, Teddy, at Martinsville. So we have some actual inside information maybe from the pits. But Andy, we're going to look at NFL props while we got you on the show here Friday as we head into the weekend. And I'll start you off with the first one you sent over. Michael Carter, Jets receiver. How do you like his receiving yards in this one? And by the way, NFL public video will be up this weekend. The Bengals are looking like one of the most public plays of the season against these New York Jets, to say the least. So I'm curious your thoughts on this one.
What? The public is on the Bengals over the Jets? What? Are you serious? Never saw that coming. Yeah, Michael Carter over 18.5 receiving yards. I absolutely love this number. The Jets are going to be starting Mike White. And, you know, this could be seen as a classic letdown spot for Cincinnati, coming off a big win, going up against an opponent they should easily beat. I suspect the Bengals will be ahead for most of this game. And the Jets and Mike White are probably going to be using a lot of checkdowns. Last week when Zach Wilson went out with an injury, Mike White used Michael Carter a lot. 9 targets, 8 receptions for 67 yards. So he goes for 67 yards with Mike White in the game, and now the number's at 18.5. This just feels like a really, really low number. All I need is a few receptions from Michael Carter, and he'll get over. This is one of my favorite plays of the week.
So I was thinking about it last night, how much money I've lost over the years backing quarterbacks like Mike White in their NFL debuts. And I'm like, oh, too many points. Oh, the public's going the other way. There's been so many of them. Brett Hundley's one that I remember for some reason. You know, when you get, oh, yeah, way too many points. Can Mike White play quarterback in the NFL? Again, we're talking about a guy who's a 5th rounder from Western Kentucky who's never played at all. Can he pass to anyone? And last week, of course, he came in a scenario where there's no film on him. He's got no prep. You're just coming in and doing whatever you can. But now he's had a week of prep. Can this guy do anything?
Well, I don't know if he can play in the NFL, but I know he is going to play in the NFL this Sunday. So that's about the best we can get from him. That is all the analysis. No, I'm playing the number here, and obviously he's not going to be stretching the field. I doubt there's going to be a lot of long shots. And so what do quarterbacks like Mike White like to do when they get in trouble? They dump it off to the tight ends and the running backs. So I'm really playing this number, this 18.5 number. It's just a couple of dump-off passes, and, hey, garbage time still counts. So I'll be playing Michael Carter big time, like I said. I don't need a lot from Mike White for him to dump the ball off to his running back.
I'm feeling left out here. I mean, Andy's got his mask on. Obviously, Teddy Covers came with his mask on, the scariest I've seen yet. And now I got to put mine on. So we're going to keep the theme here. You've got a good theme going, and hopefully the mic is picking this up. But you've got a good theme going here with ugly teams for these three props we're talking about. I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if you find value with these teams. You got the Jets. Now we're moving over to the Drew Martin's Jacksonville Jaguars. Tony Mejia's Jacksonville Jaguars with James Robinson, running back. How you playing this one?
Well, it's one of the beautiful things about the prop betting world. You can figure out how to make money off of bad teams. And James Robinson, once he solidified himself as the running back on running downs in Jacksonville, he's been hitting his over rushing props. And I'm surprised he only gets 70 yards. So I'll take the over here. He's gone over this total in 4 straight games. He's getting consistently 17 to 18 carries a game. And here's another key with this. In the last 4 games, he's had a run of 20 yards or more in all 4 of those games. So at least one time, he's breaking off a big chunk of this total. The Seahawks have allowed a running back to get over this total in 5 out of the last 6 games. This prop has been really good to us. And once I find a prop that cashes 3-4 times in a row, I'm just going to keep rolling on it and hope I catch a streak that goes 7, 8, 9, sometimes even 10 games. So James Robinson over rushing is one of these props that's been really good to us. I hope it's going to be good for us again this week.
So in this scenario, it seems to me how the game plays out is likely to, or potential has the effect of how this, if this prop is going to cash. If the Jags fall behind and Trevor Lawrence just has to chuck the football around, it's not going to be as much James Robinson. If the Jags are within 1 score or tied or ahead, there'll be a lot of opportunities for James Robinson to run the football. Would you agree with that assessment? If you like Robinson over, does it make sense to look at the Jags plus the points in this one?
Yeah, I would like the Jags. I mean, the Seahawks. Does that look like a team that's ready to blow anybody out? I find it hard to believe that Seattle and Geno Smith would be, up big time on them. So, and Urban Meyer's been really consistent with his usage on Robinson. Even then, when they've been down, they have not been shy to run the ball. I think this is their best weapon on offense besides Trevor Lawrence. So I don't see a big lead for either team. So I think Robinson will fit within the game script, and I like him to get over 70 rushing yards.
And the final one we'll look at is another great team here, the Miami Dolphins. 1-6 Dolphins. You got Myles Gaskin. I did a sound check here. I checked YouTube. It sounds fantastic. It's got a little echo to it. I'm loving this. So we're going to look at Myles Gaskins here as your final prop, and they're at Buffalo now. Are you concerned with a running back? Obviously, when they're a big underdog like this, they might not run the ball as much, have to play catch up and throw it. So how are you attacking this one with Gaskins?
Well, this is a pretty easy under for me. Myles Gaskin, under 37.5 rushing yards. Gaskin got 15 carries for 67 yards rushing last week. That was against the Falcons. This week they get the Bills. This is the 4th best rush defense. And before the game against the Falcons, Gaskin hadn't had over 25 yards rushing or more than 5 carries in 3 straight games. I think this is going to be a really tough number for Gaskin to get over because of how quick the Bills can get up on opponents. This is a really good stat if you're looking for totals, especially early in the game. The Bills are averaging 20 points a game in the first half the last 3 games. So with that style of play, they get up big on their opponents, and it's just impossible to keep up the running game throughout the whole game. And I do have this theory, Steve, that the Dolphins want to put Tua on the trading block, so they're making him look great, and they're giving him a lot of pass attempts. He's thrown the ball 87 times the last 2 weeks, which means they're just not running the ball a whole lot. So 37.5 yards seems way too much. I would expect Myles Gaskin to do much more in the passing game as opposed to the running game. I'll take under 37.5.
Yeah. So
very unprofessional, Teddy. I don't know what the hell you're doing. Very unprofessional by both of you today. This is unacceptable. Boy, it's the edge. Andy, your analysis took so long. He added 20 years to his life.
Good.
Come on, Teddy, get with the program. We're all wearing masks.
Yeah, I got it. I wore it. You got the screenshot. That's all you're going to get.
That's a great. That's a classic thumbnail.
In recent weeks, and it feels like his usage is more likely to go up as the season progresses versus go down. But you think you're going to be more involved in the passing game here? And Miami's not even going to try to run the football?
Well, while you were grabbing your your second face, we were talking about how quickly the Bills can get up on opponents, how they're scoring 20 points in the first half, and they're just getting up big. I would take a look at the Bills first half spread, maybe even the first quarter spread. But once the Bills get up big on you, it's just too hard to rush the ball. They're the fourth best rush defense. So yeah, I like Gaskin maybe more in the receiving yards department, but I'll definitely take the under 37.5.
Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com. And don't forget, special promo code Halloween31. In case you forgot, folks, Halloween is this Sunday. We've been trying to remind you with subtle hints, but we've got a 3-day special at WagerTalk.com. Anything you purchase, unlimited usage, every time you check out, if you don't put Halloween31, you're missing out on 31% discount instantly on every package, every play you buy for the next 3 days and nights. Anybody at WagerTalk.com. Don't forget Teddy Covers, Andy Lang, Rob Veno, Steve Merrill. Andy, why should somebody go to WagerTalk.com and get your packages this weekend? You are the prop master, to say the least.
Oh, we're off to a great start. We're plus 15 units in props in the NBA. We're coming off a really good 2-1 night in NFL. We're plus money. We're on a 26-unit run the last few weeks in NFL. So things are going really good. We've also been cashing mixed martial arts. We've cashed a couple tennis plays, a couple soccer. And to get 31% off of a 30-day pass, you just get a much, much better chance to see all the plays that we offer throughout all the sports. You know, we don't just do one sport. It's not just NFL. It's not just NBA. But if all you're doing is buying one package for one sport, you might be missing out on profits in the other. So when you get 31% off, this is a great time to fire away at a 30-day package. And we've been on a really good run. I look forward to a really, really killer November week.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I talk about diversification, whether it be sports betting, financial markets, or anything. Andy is a great diversifier because he does the props. Teddy and I don't really do props, so it's a totally different aspect to add to your betting portfolio. And look at it this way, folks. It's basically buy two, get one free. Get Teddy, get myself, Steve Merrill, and get Rob Veno, get, Andy Lang. You're getting basically two. You're getting the third free with a 31% discount on anything you purchase all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Halloween 31 promo code. WagerTalk.com. Andy, great doing the NASCAR show with you yesterday. We'll catch up again soon here on WagerTalk TV. And Teddy, great doing the show with you as always. I'll be back next Monday and Tuesday filling in for the Prez as he continues to dominate the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. I know you've heard rumors all week in your home city about the Prez being there. Stay out of trouble this weekend. It was a great show, and take us out. Have a great weekend, everybody. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to WagerTalk TV. Hit that bell, the like and the bell, of course, let you know instantly when Teddy's NFL opening line report is ready on Mondays, when my NFL Fade the Public video is posted this weekend. College football top 25 is up there right now. Once again, subscribe, hit the bell for instant alerts, give us a thumbs up and like, and most importantly, comment below. Let us know your Halloween costumes. Teddy, I want to know who our viewers are dressing up as for Halloween, and let us know if you dress up or not. We should have put a poll. That would have been a good YouTube poll. Let us know if you dress up, and if so, your costumes. Put some photos, some of your best costume photos ever. Tag us on Twitter at WagerTalk.com. Tag us with your Halloween costumes on Twitter at WagerTalk.com. Teddy, take us home for the weekend.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for the week here at Wager Talk Today. I want to thank everybody for watching. We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to hang out with us. We'll do it again next week. Every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy your lack of Prez for at least another couple of days, although Prez did make it to day 2 in the senior event. He bagged last night, so I have to give him credit, much as I hate to do that. Marco, not so much. We'll be back on Monday. Enjoy the games, and good luck.
Okay, we know that you might be sick of hearing about spooky good deals this Halloween weekend, but we've chosen this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to bring back one of our most popular specials. The Wager Talk Fill Your Cart is back. This Friday, October 29th, Saturday, October 30th, and Sunday, October 31st, you will get a 31% discount on everything you fit into your cart. Whether it's a daily package, a one-day all access, a 3, 7, or 30 package, a full season of college hoops, or a full 12 months from your favorite handicapper, you'll save 31% with coupon Halloween31. You can fill your goodie bag as many times as you want until the clock strikes midnight on Sunday. Finish off October with this ghostly good deal and fill your cart wisely.